The French and Indian War by David, Tristan, Logan, and Jade. What is the French and Indian War? The French and Indian War. Fighting was started in the United States and spread to Europe. The war was also called the 7 Years' War in Europe. The war began in 1754 and ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. Approximately 11,300 people were killed, injured, or captured. Cause of the war. The war started over the Upper Ohio River. Officially, the British and French claimed the land for themselves. The British claimed the land for settlement, but the French claimed the land to trade with the natives living there. So naturally, with their conflicting claims, in the almost ancient time, animosity between the two, it would become inevitable that they would go to war over the Upper Ohio River. The war starting. The first and most main reason for this war starting was the conflicting claims they had. The French wanted the land so they can trade with the natives already living there, so they can make more profit. But the British, specifically the settlers, wanted the land so they can sell and farm the land for profit as well.
One of the first battles in this war was the Battle of Fort Necessary in Pennsylvania. This battle was actually the only battle George Washington ever surrendered. The battle started right after the Battle of Jumonville Glen. The Battle of Quebec was fought on September 13th, 1759. It was the last battle of the French-Indian War. The French were led by Marquis de Montcalm, and the British were led by James Wolfe. During this battle, both the commanding officers were wounded, and within the next year, they died from the injuries. In the end, the British force won, led by James Wolfe. 3 years and 5 months later, the Treaty of Paris in 1763 was signed and ended the French and Indian War. Arguably, the war started because their mutual hate for each other was so strong that any claim they made, no matter how small it was, would have probably still started a war, since their rivalry began a couple hundred years ago, with the whole Normandy shenanigans being that the Norman Duke, William the Conqueror, gained control over the Kingdom of England while still being a technical vassal of the King of France.
During the French and Indian War. So in this part of the conflict, there was 3 main contenders and a couple of lesser contenders that supported the conflict. Those are the British with the Iroquois fighting against the French with the Algonquin, Lenape, Wyandot, Ojibwe, Shawnee, and the Mi'kmaq. The third main contender was in another part of the war that was in Europe. Post-war. The French and Indian War ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. The war provided Great Britain with enormous territorial gains in North America, including the land known as Quebec, which, fun fact, the land there is still majority French and is quite different from the rest of Canada. Smallpox used as biological warfare. June of 1763, Fort Pitt was besieged. Soldiers and civilians inside the fort had smallpox. Some of the Native Americans outside also did. 2 people in the fort were given 2 blankets and a handkerchief out of the smallpox hospital. When they left, the trader William Trent wrote in his diary, "I hope it will have the desired effect." They believed that this was him trying to spread the smallpox disease to kill the people.